Vlogsters, how was your night? Coffee. So happy to have coffee. Mm. Mm. Mm-mm-mm. I'm telling you, that pumpkin spice combo with the Italian sweet cream is perfect for me. I've had no indigestion. I've been drinking it 3 days in a row like that, and I've had no indigestion, which I'm really happy about. Vlogsters, good morning. I don't know if you watched my vlog on the main channel about the finding gratitude in the pain. I don't know, I feel like I've turned a corner. I feel like I had an epiphany. I think that I want to say that I had a really rough night last night, but it has not affected my spirit. And I don't mean like I don't mean like my spirit, like my soul. I mean, it hasn't affected my spirit. Like, we've got spirit. How about you? My demeanor, my cheerfulness, my attitude. I mean, the exhaustion, of course, plays some effect on your attitude. I'm not going to deny that that's not true, but I've been tired and happy before. I've chosen to be happy during the exhaustion before. Sometimes it is hard. I'm not going to lie and tell you like it's all sugar-coated rainbows and stuff. And you can choose joy in the moment. Of course you can. You can always just stop and be grateful for everything that you have through all the pain. And that's really what the vlog was all about. It's like, yes, I'm in pain, but I do have relief coming in the form of medication and a form of treatment and the form of doctor's care and stuff. I do have, there's relief in my future. It might not be as soon as I want it to be or as soon as I will it to be, but it's coming. So it's like that. It's just a matter of like, can you do it? And I'm grateful I have coffee. I'm grateful I have a platform. I'm grateful I have you all to share it with, because I mentioned before that talking and vlogging really does help distract me from the pain. I had a great day yesterday, so I was kind of surprised about having a rough night last night. But I feel like it started like, we go to bed. Jim comes in and goes to bed about 8 o'clock, 7:30 really. He comes in at like 7 and then Char gets to bed at like 7:45. So he could be asleep by 8. It started for me a little earlier than that. I did mess up. Oh gosh, did I mess up on meds? You guys, I don't know what the heck. So what I've been doing is I have my reminders to tell me when to take my medication. And it's really been working. And it's sort of like when we did meds on Sunday, I think I mentioned that I adjusted the omeprazole. Take omeprazole to counteract some stomach issues that one of the other medications was causing. So I had set a reminder for omeprazole at 6 o'clock because when I first got it, that's when I first took it. And I know it's the best time to take it every day. But I was like, I've adjusted my night meds to be at 7. And it would be much more convenient if I just put the omeprazole in the night meds, so I don't take it. Well, I also had my gabapentin that I was taking at 7. So when we did night meds the other night, I was like, put my gabapentin in my night meds. So we did that Sunday, Monday, Tuesday. Now Sunday, because we were late doing meds, I took the gabapentin right away. So it wasn't in the Sunday medication. But Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, today is Thursday. So Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. So 3 days. I know I'm pretty sure that I also took it with my night meds because I messed up yesterday with my day meds because I copied what I do at night. And I just really have been messing up. And it bothers me, first of all, because I don't normally mess up on stuff like this. This is important stuff. Secondly, it bothers me because it's going to throw off like my 8-hour system that I set up really well. Like, I know that it's 9 hours at night and 7 hours between morning and the afternoon. But that's just so I don't have to get up at 4 o'clock in the morning. Or actually, it's more than that now. It's 10 hours between the night dose and the morning dose, and 7 hours between the day doses, because again, I won't have to get up in the middle of the night to take it. But if I am up, I do. So I think I mentioned that before. I have it scheduled for 5, noon, and 7. And then if I'm up at 4, I'll take it. Actually, if I'm up at 4, I'll take it. But if I'm up at 3, that's technically 8 hours after the last time. Whatever. You guys get it. Do you get all this medication stuff? I hope you do. But anyway, so yesterday morning, took my 5 o'clock dose. And then when my morning meds alarm went off, and before I even started vlogging the gratitude vlog, I was on automatic pilot to put the gabapentin in the meds when I do at nighttime. And I did it, and I took it, and I was like, oh my goodness, I wasn't supposed to do that. So I just didn't take my 12 o'clock dose. That was fine. I really did hold out pretty well till 7, but not exactly. So I wonder if that might have something to do with it. Like, did I throw off my therapeutic dose range that I was aiming for? I don't know, would one day really mess me up? Then last night, I put my gabapentin in my night meds, and I took it. And I was like, look down at the container. I see all these yellow pills at nighttime. And I freaked out. Out. Because then I was like, Jimmy. He's like, what? I said, oh my God, I've been taking double doses of gabapentin all week. Here's why. And this is totally my fault. And we're going to fix it on Sunday. But right now, I just took all of the PM doses out of the pill container because I don't want to mess myself up. I have to retrain myself. I never took the reminder off of the digital assistant. So the reminder was telling me to take my night meds and to take my gabapentin. All I needed to do was take off the reminder for my gabapentin if it was in my night meds. But since I had that problem, I'm going to retrain myself for Sunday. But we'll also see, like, maybe by next week the treatment might change and the doctor might have different medication doses and times for me or whatever. Who knows? But still, I'm just like, maybe we just leave it out. I don't really know. I don't like the 3 alarms going off at 7 o'clock. Like, we're all trying to, like, just get settled into bed. And then you're like, take your meds. Reminder, take your meds. Reminder, take your gabapentin. This is a reminder, take your gabapentin. This is a reminder to take your Voltaren. I'm reminding you to take your Voltaren. Like, what? Shh. Let's just make it night meds. We just know what all of them are. So that happened. That happened, and that happened. So I don't know if that had anything to do with it. Me noticing it might have had something to do with it. But I just could not, for the life of me, get comfortable last night. No position was comfortable. My left side wasn't. My right side wasn't. My stomach wasn't. My back wasn't. And they all were comfortable for a very, very short period of time. Like, yes, I was able to lay on my stomach for about 15 minutes, and then I had to roll over, and then I was on the side for 15 minutes, and 20 minutes, and then 30 minutes on this side. Like, I couldn't get comfortable. And I had fallen asleep. And I don't really know that I did fall asleep. I must have, like, dozed off for about 35, 40 minutes. And then I woke up, and I don't know if you guys know this, but with Apple devices, and you might be able to do this with Android devices, I'm not sure, but with Apple devices, you can set your timer. Like, you could set a timer to tell you, like, set a timer for 30 minutes. So you could set, like, a recipe or whatever. But you can set your timer to turn off whatever you're listening to. So it says stop playing. It's at the very, very bottom of the choices of music that you can listen to. Not music, but of sounds that it would make as a timer. And the very, very last one is stop playing. And this way, if you fall asleep to music or to a movie, it will stop playing at whatever time you set. So I've been doing this forever. I've been doing it, like, regularly since I got my other digital assistant. because I used to use my phone for a timer. And when you actually have that set, you can't just tell it like set a timer for cookies, because then it won't play a noise. It'll just do nothing at the timer's over, because it'll stop whatever you're doing. So all of that to tell you this. I always set the timer on the iPad and the phone. If I'm going to listen to it on the phone for an hour and 20 minutes. And it ends the Harry Potter movie at the Quidditch match. I don't know if this means anything to you guys. But last night, I was like, I dozed off and he was just getting to Hogwarts. Like, I dozed off after Dudley's birthday, and then I woke up like he was just getting to Hogwarts, and then I tried to fall back to sleep, and I was listening to it, and it just never stopped. Like, the movie just never stopped, and I was like, what happened? Like, what happened to my timer? All of a sudden, I'm at the end of the movie, I'm like, what happened to my timer? Anyway, so I was up, and I tried everything. I tried solitaire. I tried, like, all of my tricks. I tried doing nothing for longer than I've ever tried doing nothing, because I was uncomfortable. I didn't even want to reach and get a device or anything. I just was moving and moving and moving. And I'm sorry to my husband. I got a kiss this morning. That's all I remember. And I'm sorry, Jim, if you're watching this. Actually, I did just apologize on the phone. He texted me HYD ? And if you guys don't know, that's how you doing. But anyway, I like to think it says it like that. But I know, Jimmy, just how you doing. So I did apologize this morning if I had kept him up. And he said it wasn't too bad. He didn't really notice it too bad. So I did a lot of tossing and turning last night, and I couldn't get comfortable. I had like one point I was like, one arm was hanging off the bed and one arm was stretched out. It was so weird. I felt like a toddler. Like sometimes when you toddlers in your bed and you're like they're all over. That's what I felt like. So actually, that's funny. That reminds me, I just shared a picture with Emily of the last time I slept at Lisa's, and Maverick slept over, and he fell asleep on my arm. He rolled over onto my arm, and I was like, I want this, and she's like, I want this too. So, anyhow, I got some not so great news last night that isn't mine to share, but I will ask for prayers. I have a family member who is quite young, who was hospitalized with COVID pneumonia. And that could have been weighing on my mind, honestly. Sometimes when you're in mental anguish, it causes physical pain, and maybe that's what it was. Maybe I don't even realize. Alexa, can you turn on bedroom lights? It helps a little bit. I just realized how dark it is. How dark I am, like in shadow. And I don't know if you can realize that till just now. Especially when my arm is like all white and light. You know, it's like, Here, photo trick. Put the white pillow. Reflects the light. Just don't like to reflect. So I spent a lot of time praying and just bargaining and negotiating. I asked all my young friends out there, please make sure you get your vaccine. Just listen to the experts. Please don't just listen to anything. Listen to the experts. Like, here's one of the points that I want to make. And if you're a person who doesn't believe that the vaccine has any validity, if you get sick, you're going to go to those same doctors that recommended you get the vaccine. So why do you listen to them for your treatment, but you won't listen to them for your preventative care? It's just, there's so much misinformation out there. It's really, really scary. And it worries me. I mean, honestly, if there was that much wrong with the vaccines, there have been billions of people at this point. Millions? Have there been billions? I know there have been millions of people who have been vaccinated. And there's just really, in all relation, there's been a handful of incidences where there have been like allergic reactions and that kind of thing. But that, I shared a video on Instagram of I don't know if she told me the first video, I don't know if she's an immunologist or infectious disease doctor, but she went on to literally break it down. And I know her video was very choppy because you could see she tried to edit it in 3 minutes. On TikTok, maximum amount of video time is 3 minutes. But she gave like all of the actual facts. Like, I'm not trying to say like actual facts, but she gave the facts. The facts are, there are people who say, oh, so-and-so dropped dead after the vaccine, but they come to find out later that there's no correlation. So there's like the causation. So like, if, if a person had an underlying unknown heart condition, that they could have died anyway or something. Like she was talking about the blood clotting factors. She's like, there is, as she gave the statistic, X number of blood clotting issues that we see on a daily basis pre-COVID. She's like, and those numbers haven't increased with the vaccine. Those un-COVID related numbers haven't increased. Basically, the numbers in general have increased because COVID causes blood clotting. But basically, she broke it down to say that there's no statistic that says that the vaccination is causing blood clotting. So you hear these a lot of stories like, oh, this guy, 23 years old, dropped dead. He dropped dead after it. I mean, unless there was an allergic reaction, because like literally you can develop an allergic reaction. You can develop an allergy to just about anything at any time. So we know that there are people who already can't take the vaccine because they're allergic to components of vaccines. Like the binder and stuff, like the fluid that they send it out in. So we know those people know already that they shouldn't, but how they found out was they had an allergic reaction to a vaccine. Like that's how they know they're allergic to a vaccine. So obviously if this is like maybe, the first time taking, like you never had a flu vaccine, so you don't have the same, I don't know if they always tell you if you're allergic to eggs, don't take the flu vaccine. So I don't know if that they use an egg component to carry the like the egg protein might be in there. I don't know how vaccines are made. I mean, I know how they're studied and developed. I just don't know how they're manufactured. That's the word I should have said. I don't know how vaccines are manufactured. I don't know if everybody's formula is the same either. But she talked about that people were saying that the long-term effects, she said, you get a long-term effect over taking medication over a long period of time, but taking 3 doses of a medication in a year won't give you any long-term effects. I've seen really cute cartoons broken down where like, I don't know, COVID is a fork and the vaccine is a spoon. Or this one was really cute. They had a little vaccine dressed up like COVID. It was in like this little COVID suit, like really cute. It had like these little spikes and you could see his little regular face sticking through. And he went in and he started poking at all the, antibodies or white blood cells or whatever it was that it was poking at. They didn't really tell you, but you just see him poking at all these big things to the point where they got so mad that they beat him up. And they beat him up pretty good. And then later, an actual COVID vaccine, which is basically looked just like him except without the face. An actual COVID virus comes in and they recognized him and and you see like in their memories, they see the little guy that they beat up and they went in, they were like, poo, 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 poo. So like that was the cartoon version breakdown for like to make it really super simple is that they're sending in this like fake COVID thing that makes your body recognize it and fight it next time it actually comes in. So then when you do get the virus, and even if you get the Delta variant, so they talk about the Lambda variant and the Delta variant. This is why people are getting like breakthrough infections, because it's protecting some, but not all of the virus in some people. So some people's vaccination, some people's natural immunity isn't protecting from the variants entirely. So they're getting what they call breakthrough infections, which they're not dying and they're barely being hospitalized with pneumonia or COVID-related, breathing issues, but they are having some side effects like cold-like symptoms or flu-like symptoms. So I'm not an expert. I'm not trying to educate you from my expertise. I'm just teaching you what I learned, and that's all I've ever done on this channel is teach you something that I've learned. Really, aside from being the actual researcher that has made a discovery, anybody has only ever taught you what they've learned. I mean, that's really what teaching is all about. I learn something, I use it in my life or not, and then I teach it. Like, that's how crafting works. I create, I take something that I've learned. I say, oh, I know that if I take white and I add a little black to the edge and I blend it in, it becomes like a shadow and it becomes gray. And I know that if I mix orange and yellow, it'll become like a mustard color. Like, I know this because I learned it once before, So that's all teaching is. It's just I learned something and now I'm going to teach it to you. I will tell you from personal experience, the shot didn't affect me at all. I had COVID arm from the first shot. Was that the first one or the second one? It was the first one, right? So COVID arm is you actually have like the arm pain and redness like a week after you take the shot. Like, I got the shot. I didn't feel, I was great. Nothing bothered me. I did the whole, you're supposed to move and keep your body going so the muscle doesn't get weak, like all this stuff. And then like a week later, I was like, it was red. It wasn't swollen. It was just red. Like the area was red. And my arm was like, it felt like, God love him. My brother used to like really give us dead arms and dead legs. I know now that he prepared us for bullies. Let's just put it that way. But that's what it felt like. I felt like I had like a dead arm, like somebody gave me a really good punch. And that only lasted for, I don't know, 3 days, most 2.5 days, I think it was. But it was just funny because it was like, you had nothing in first, then you're like this. And the second shot, I feel like nothing happened. I don't know. I feel like nothing. I was so busy dealing with the leg pain that I feel like I don't even know if anything happened to my arm. Did I have any after effects of COVID? I never had any like respiratory or stomach issues. I never got that kind of like, I know a lot of people get effects when their immune system. What I think is probably why, what I think is probably why people get affected differently is their immune system is fighting something off. And when your immune system is tricked to start fighting off this bigger monster, then the other stuff like kicks in on you. Like, I feel like that's what it is. And I don't know that that's right, but that's what my theory, my professional opinion. I don't have a professional opinion. I'm totally an amateur, but that's what it feels like. Because why does it affect some people and not others? And, it just is what it is. So there's no live virus in there, so you're not going to get anything. There's no microchips in there because the government can already track you on your cell phone. Just kidding. Why do you think you're so important that the government wants to track you? I know you're important to your loved ones and your family. You're important to me. But why do you think you're so important to the government that they need to track you? Oh, no. I dribbled. does anger me that science has become so politicized, even with global warming. Like, there is this talk. Mom and I have had a talk about like global warming. Well, the Earth is gonna die anyway, and it's a natural evolution of things. And if you look back, and that's how the last ice age happened. And I'm like, yeah, but we don't have to make it go faster for all the generations to come. We don't have to make it happen now. We can stop helping it, because that's what we're doing. We're helping the speed to which I'm really can't get comfortable here either right now. It's so weird. We're helping it the speed to which we're breaking down the world with all the things we're doing to it. If we didn't have this technologies that we have today, or the Industrial Revolution that we've had the last 100 years, then we wouldn't, what am I trying to say? If we were the dinosaurs, like we would last hundreds and thousands of years longer than we are, because we've added pollutants to the atmosphere and pollutants to the oceans and groundwater, and we've added carbon dioxide to the atmosphere. Like all of these things that we're doing as a world, that is making the global warming, like the next ice age, happen faster. That's what I feel. Not the way I feel, but that's like my opinion. And it's weird to me that it's politicized. Like, you could go on, and I feel like, I cannot remember, so forgive me. I feel like it was either NASA or NOAA that has a time lapse of, I want to say it was a river in Canada. I don't think it's the whole polar ice cap. But they basically have like from 1970 to today, and you can actually see like it receding and melting. Now, we've been industrialized for longer than 1970, but that was just when they started actually taking notice of the changes. Excuse me. And it's funny because people talk about, like, there is this political argument that that the coronavirus is man-made or natural. Like, but my brain automatically goes to, like, viruses that have been buried in the ice that were melting faster, that are like coming into the, like, okay, so, I mean, I did say this argument to my friends that they were like, oh, this is man-made. I'm like, okay, so what if it is? Take your vaccine and put your mask on. Regardless of how it developed or how it got here, it's here. Let's do something about it. A lot of that, like, nothing's gained from blame is something that comes into my head a lot these days, because everybody wants to point the finger at somebody else of why. Why is only important so that you don't repeat. You're not going to get anything from knowing where it started. Okay, so so it was, say it was created in a lab and it was set forth in Wuhan, China, and that's where it started. So what? It's here now, and it's affecting our friends and family and our neighbors and our communities. What does it make a difference where it came from? Learn from it. Okay, so now we'll watch the labs to make sure nobody is setting out these things. But regardless, we're going through a pandemic. We're learning about what it's like to live in a pandemic, so that then, if you want to believe that, then the next man-made virus that comes out will be prepared for. That's fine. If you want to believe that, just get your vaccine and wear your mask and wash your hands. And I was so impressed by this doctor. She was like, my son wears a mask. He's 5 years old, and What if I have to itch? What if you have to itch your nose or take a drink? That's fine. Step away from people so you can pull down your mask, and you can do that. And then put your mask back on and go back and engage with the people. Wash your hands with sanitizer or whatever, and then go back and engage with the people. So, like, if she's like, I could teach my 5-year-old this, she's like, children will do what you tell them to do because they're your children. It's just kind of like, it's very interesting that, I listen to some people and I'm like, oh. But I saw this great, oh my gosh, there was this great school board meeting. Like, at the school board meetings, people are just going like berserker. They really are. They're just saying the most nonsensical things. Some lady had her Bible out and she was like, you're all demons. This is all demonic. She was pointing to the doctors and they were demons. And I'm like, the same doctors that if you got sick, you would run to get treatment. But regardless, this guy came in and he was like wearing his mask, and he's like, I left work. He's like, and at work, I have to wear this jacket. And he takes off his jacket. He's like, I don't like wearing this jacket. And he goes, at work, I have to wear this tie. And he takes off his tie. And he goes all the way down to his Speedos. He's wearing a bathing suit underneath it. And he had no pants on or anything. And he was like, and when I drove here, he goes, I just ran through all the red lights. He goes, I didn't care if anybody got hurt or killed. I just ran through the red lights. And the school board lady was like, it's obvious you're a swimmer, but if you could put your pants back on to finish your statement, that would be great. And it was just so fantastic, and it was such a great description. You know what? Really weird. Nobody has compared to not getting a vaccine with drunk driving. And I'm kind of shocked because I think it's a perfect correlation. Or not wearing your mask. When you ingest alcohol, you have bodily autonomy. You decide whether or not you're going to ingest alcohol for yourself. And that really only affects you. Getting the vaccine is a perfect example of your bodily autonomy. You can decide whether or not you take the vaccine. When you drive a car without any alcohol, you take into account the things that affect people around you. So you get behind the wheel of your car, and sober as the day is long, what you decide to do in that vehicle affects the people around you, even if you're being safe. So I correlate that to wearing a mask. So driving a car is like wearing a mask. You have to be responsible so that you protect the people around you and yourself. But not getting the vaccine and not wearing your mask is the correlation that I like to think of as driving drunk. Now, if you don't get the vaccine, you don't wear your mask, you do have a chance of not getting killed. You have a chance of not getting hurt. You have a chance of not hurting others around you. But you also have a much higher chance of getting killed, getting hurt, and hurting others around you. Like, that's why I don't understand why nobody has really created that correlation yet, because that's the best way that I can think of to describe it. Like, yes, if you decide to ingest alcohol and you decide to get your body into your car and drive it, it no longer just becomes about you. It becomes about everybody around you. People who didn't choose to be on the road with somebody who was drunk and driving. Like, obviously you don't know who's drunk and driving, but you get on the road assuming that people aren't drunk and they're driving. So it's kind of like that whole thing. Like, when you drink, that's about you. When you drive, that's about you. But when you combine them, that's about everybody else. And it's true. I mean, you no longer are just putting yourself at risk. So we've talked about masks. People say masks don't work. That's the stupidest argument I've ever had. I just want to be like, okay, so next time you have surgery, just make sure that tell your doctor that you don't that masks don't work. He doesn't have to wear one, and he can spit his germs all in your open cavities, whatever you're getting done. Just you make sure you tell him that. I mean, even when you go to the dentist, the dental hygienist is cleaning your teeth, and she wears a mask. I mean, mine always has. I mean, before coronavirus, so. So it's just weird. It's just weird, like, this whole, people have all these, like, great arguments, and I just don't understand how it became, like, where we're at right now. It's just so, it's so bizarre. It's so bizarre. People are trying to control me. Nobody's trying to control you. We're trying to protect ourselves and our communities. And we are going to not let you get behind the wheel drunk. Yes, 100%. You know, and be on the road. So people are like, oh, you know, I can't go to this restaurant. I can't go to this restaurant. I can't. They're keeping me out of here. There's my civil liberty. No, my civil liberties. You talk about your freedoms. How about my freedom? How about my freedom to sit at Applebee's and not have to worry about dying because you decided not to get vaccinated and spread coronavirus all over Applebee's? Like, because you know you can have it and you could spread it and you cannot feel like you got it and you cannot have any effects of it. Like, this isn't news. Not everybody's affected by coronavirus the same. Some get stomach upsets and lose their sense of taste. Some go into death. Like, it's not everybody is affected the same way. So you can have it, not know it, and you could spread it. And now it's not just your problem. Do you understand? Like, I don't know. And I'm sorry if this upsets anybody, if I've triggered anybody, if I've made anybody think because I'm a Christian and I'm a God-loving human being that I had conservative values in this country. I do not have conservative values in this country. I have told you guys this time and time again. I am not a Christian that follows other Christians. I am a Christian that follows Christ. Christ, my Jesus, and I don't know if it's being a child of the 70s during the end of the hippie movement or whatever, but my Jesus loves everyone. My Jesus loves everyone. And he said the most important thing that I want you to do is to love everyone. That's what he told me. He didn't teach me to love with judgment. He didn't teach me to love except for those people who do this and that and the other thing. So it's just like, I don't know what you learned, but this is what I learned. So my Jesus loves me unconditionally. And I know that he loves others unconditionally. And he wants me to love others unconditionally. And not the conditions that they also need to be Christians. I'm not just told to love other Christians. I'm told to love everyone. Love your neighbor. If my neighbor is Jewish, if my neighbor is a Muslim, if my neighbor is Greek Orthodox, if my neighbor is an agnostic or an atheist, I'm supposed to love them. If they're a pagan or a Wiccan, I'm supposed to love them. That's what he told me. You know what he didn't like? He didn't like money. He didn't like capitalism. He didn't like material possessions. But very little other things did he not like. I heard this really great, I don't know if he was the one who had the master's in theology or the doctorate in theology. Because there's two people that I follow and I can't remember whose credentials match whose body. But one of them was talking about like the taking the Lord's name in vain. If you say, and I'm gonna say it now, so I don't mean to trigger anybody, but I'm giving you an example. If you say like Jesus Christ or oh God, that's not taking the Lord's name in vain. Taking the Lord's name in vain is to actually say that you're a Christian and not act like Christ-like. And that blew my mind. Because what you're actually doing is that you're being vain in Christ's name for your own righteousness or benefit or whatever you want to call it. And I was like, I love to learn. Do you guys love to learn? Is that why you're here? Are you here just because you love to gossip? Because I don't really gossip. I just love to learn. I love learning. Gosh. You know, it's funny because I shared that doctor on TikTok and somebody was like, don't believe everything you hear on TikTok. And I wanted to really just say, because I didn't know where she was coming from with it. But I was like, yeah, I don't. It's okay. But I really wanted to say, yeah, because there's a lot of really wacko conservative nut jobs that are making stuff up. I mean, listen, there is a group of people, and I don't know if you heard about this in the news, because not everybody watches news, every kind of news. Did you hear about this ivermectin, which is a large animal dewormer, like an antibiotic for large animals? And somebody heard somewhere that ivermectin helps, and people are taking large animal dewormers. They're taking medicine made for horses and sheep and cows, and they're taking it. Actually, I don't know that it's cows. It might be non-bovine, but they're, because I just realized I've only ever heard horses and sheep. But they're taking it. Like, I've watched them squeeze it out of the tube and ingest it. And I'm like, you'll believe that when somebody got on the TV and told you that this works, but you won't believe like actual scientists and doctors? That to me is like really bizarre. Like, it's really bizarre. I think that the one thing that I would like to end with is if you're a Republican or conservative, or you're an ultra conservative Republican, and you feel like the liberal media or the liberals are trying to eradicate you or control you or take control over the country, do you realize that we would just stop telling you to get the vaccine so that you could eventually like populate out? The fact that we're telling you to take the vaccine and that we're healing you when you're sick is why we love you, why we want you to be around, why we want to have you here. Why we're telling you don't take poisonous animal medication is because we love you and we want you to be around. If we didn't want you to be around, we wouldn't say anything and we would just let you populate out. And I don't know how to say that without being cruel, but literally that's what would happen. If we didn't encourage you to get the vaccine or wear your mask or all these things, then you would eventually populate out. But we don't want that. And it's not for selfish reasons. It's for selfless reasons. I know it had gotten too far when even Donald Trump at one of his rallies recommended people get vaccinated and they booed him. Yikes. So we knew that there was going to be like no turning point back from there. But the good news is people are getting vaccinated way more now. You know, one of the theories one of the doctors had was that the more jobs are mandating that they get it, or more places are mandating that they have the vaccine. But I truly believe it's because the vaccine is actually FDA approved now. But that's just my theory too. It just happens to correlate with that time as well. Because people were waiting for it to be FDA approved and waiting. And now that the Pfizer vaccine is FDA approved, I think that does make a difference. I think part of it too is that your insurance companies aren't going to cover. People's premiums are going to go up if they're not vaccinated, and it's not going to cover your treatment if you're not vaccinated because it's considered a preventable illness. How people who smoke have higher premiums. You know what I mean? Like people who smoke have higher premiums. They consider that like a preventable illness. If you get lung cancer and you've been smoking for 35 years, they say, well, you know, we warned you not to smoke and your premiums will go higher and we're only going to do X, Y, and Z treatments because, you know, you knew, you know, this could have happened. So it's kind of like along those lines, except to the extreme. So I was talking to somebody about it, the vaccines, and I was like, did you get the MMR, chicken pox? And she was like, the difference is you had a choice. And I was like, no, I didn't have a choice. I couldn't go into school. Like when I was younger, I couldn't start first grade if I didn't have actually couldn't start kindergarten. Well, pre-K. Actually, I started pre-K. Couldn't start pre-K if I didn't have my MMR. We didn't have a chickenpox vaccine back then, but we had the polio vaccine. I was like, I think the first or second year of having the non-scarred polio vaccine. I don't know if you know that people got the polio vaccine have like a little divot in their arm prior, but I was under the tongue. Like we had our polio vaccine under our tongue. I had to have all those vaccinations before I started school. So the lady was like, you're talking about a choice. I'm like, well, we have a choice in the flu vaccine. We don't have a choice in the other vaccines. That's why I mentioned them. I didn't mention the flu vaccine. I mentioned the ones that we don't have a choice about. And those can kill you and can spread diseases that we've mostly eradicated. But this one is like worse than all of those were. I don't know. It's really hard. It's a hard climate we're going in now. And then people wanted to talk about Afghanistan and everything that's going on there. And please I just highly recommend you just watch broadcast news to get your facts about it if you can. Again, they have to tell the truth. Cable news does not have to tell the truth. That's why they both have such different perspectives. And I say both, like liberal media and conservative media in general, like have opposing stories to tell of the same story, because they don't have to tell you the facts. They don't have to tell you the truth. They can say whatever they want about it. They can put their own spins on them and stuff. But that being said, it's devastating. I'm glad that the current administration did get us extended from May to the end of August. But I don't think that the Taliban really wanted that extension, and I feel like they made it worse. But that's just what I've learned so far of the facts that I've heard. That's what made the transition so rocky, to say, you know, gosh, there's just so much going on right now. It's just really difficult. A bunch of laws were passed in Texas starting September 1st, which were just like, oh. One of them, if I heard correctly, is you have to, this might have been an old law. I can't remember, because again, it's like I hear a lot of different facts and then fact checking them and remembering which one was the fact sometimes eludes me when it's not affecting me. Like when I fact check all the coronavirus stuff, that affects me, it affects my community. But I don't live in Texas, so if I fact check something from Texas, I can't remember if it's whatever. But it could be an old law, or it could be the one that just got passed. But if you're going to commit a crime that's going to physically hurt somebody, you have to give them 24 hours notice. I said, what? Yeah, that doesn't make sense. But anyhow, I just hope that everybody stays safe. Everybody makes an informed decision. Please, 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 please. The percentage of you getting hit by lightning on a bus, is stronger than the percentage of you having an adverse reaction to the to the vaccine. So please, please, please just be safe. When I heard that my family member at such a young age was so negatively affected, I reached out to all of the other young people that I know. And I said, please, I don't care if you're vaccinated. I mean, I care obviously if you're vaccinated or not, but you don't need to tell me whether or not you decided to get vaccinated or not, or why. But I just implored them, please, 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 especially the ones with children. Please. I just don't want to see more young people get sick. Nope, not going to cry. Shh. Not going to cry. I just don't want to see any more young people get sick. Especially those who have babies at home. Anyhow, listen, I love you all so much. Whatever your political views or whatever your views on medicine or all that stuff is concerned, just remember that I love you, and it's really important to me that you stick around as long as possible. Because I would miss you if you didn't. I actually had one of my subscribers that used to comment regularly. I saw her on Messenger last night, and I was like, oh, I really miss her. We used to really chat a lot, and things just fell off, I guess, because I'm not crafting as much or at all since the last time I crafted was May, and it's September, so. But I miss you guys when you leave me, when you fall off and we don't see each other anymore. By see each other, I mean you see me, but I don't see you in the comments. So take care of yourself, please, for me. If you're not going to do it for yourself, do it for me. Okay? All right. I love you. Like I'm that important, right? I love you guys. And as always, you take care. God bless. We'll see you next time. Bye. Bye. Bye.